Hello and welcome back to episode 22 of the Hillians Talk podcast, and a bit of a belated welcome back. Appreciate we've not been on your Spotify links or YouTube channels for a fair few weeks now, but we are back. Delighted to be joined by Lynden as ever.
Yeah, that's mostly on me. Apologies. Like I've been away. I had to cancel a few times.
We didn't mean to leave it this long.
No, that's mostly on me, so that's my bad. Sorry.
But we are back with a bit of a bang today, actually, and a bit of a bang in terms of sort of special guests, because we've got the most special guests in the owner, chairman, Mr. David Corney.
That's only going to lead to disappointment now, isn't it? You've really set the audience up with a disappointment.
I've really set the bar high. So, keep listening to this because, the bar is absolutely through the roof now. But no, delighted you've come on to join us. You actually requested to come on. So
to be honest with you, I came on at the start of the season, but it was like I had to check. It was like the middle of August.
Yeah, it was a long time ago now, yeah.
And I thought, do you know what? I've talked to you at the start of the season, and I thought maybe what we should do is we've got one more game. Let's review it.
Yeah.
There's obviously been stuff that's happened, and
has there?
Yeah, I suppose. And it'd be good to chew the fat over that,
yeah.
and it's very difficult at times to encapsulate things in short, very impersonal statements or whatever. But good to have a chat about it and see what we think within reason, I guess. It's fine.
Well, yeah, no, of course. I think, in Millen's defence, we probably, if we were back to our regular schedule of podcasts, we probably would have mentioned it to you. Let's do one.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Oh, you say that. You say that
just
now.
to cover my back. I think I will say that. Yeah.
quick, put him on the list.
Yeah,
that makes it sound really. Yeah, David demanded to be on the podcast this week.
I think we did mention it, and we're like, actually, should we do that with David? But,
yeah, there was a few people that requested to come, like people asked us to have people back on. You were actually one of them. We're not just saying that.
Oh yeah, okay.
Matt Hayward wasn't. Love you, Matt.
Oh,
no, I'm joking.
Quite a needless dig there, Matt.
I know, but that's kind of our thing.
Yeah, it is.
I say, as in me and Matt's thing.
Yeah, no, fine. Well, look, we won't sort of go for our usual covering of every match because we appreciate we have missed a fair few. Some great results we will cover, some not so good results we won't cover as usual. But to start off with, I think let's talk about unbelievable result for the under-18s. I know you both were there. I unfortunately wasn't, so that's on me. But we are now...
Still managed to do really impressive updates, though, for someone who wasn't there.
Yeah.
I felt like your updates came through faster than I saw the goals, and I was there.
Because I was messaging people so I could get updates, so I could follow along with it. But then nobody was updating everybody else, so I just ended up updating the updates.
Relay.
And I was, anyway. 8-2 from 2-0 down.
It was unbelievable.
It was
an incredible game of football. And, going 2-0 down, which... I wouldn't say it was exactly against the run of play, but it was a mistake. It was a classic, mistake that Burgess Hill makes in this passing at the back type thing.
Yeah.
That we're always said that will happen every now and then, but it makes up for it by scoring lots of goals from the back and whatever. It's classic Burgess Hill. And then the second goal, I thought was a clear foul, and the ref let a lot to go, didn't he?
I could talk about the ref for a while.
Oh,
I
God.
won't.
And then,
in the game,
but I didn't feel at 2-0 down that we were out of it in any way, shape, or form. We looked a good side, and then they just went bananas. I mean, literally bananas. They just, they were
tore them apart.
It actually could have been 20-0, 22 rather. It was so good.
Their keeper made a few good saves. There was a few last-ditch blocks, a few of our efforts that were only just slightly off target, but we're talking inches the other side of the post they're in. Yeah, it could have been a cricket score.
And it's such a good result. And obviously, it's slightly different judging sort of under-18s level because, apart from Worthing, who seems to dominate our league every single year, obviously the purpose of under-18s is just to sort of try and find, the sort of next up-and-coming players for each division. It's not necessarily always about, winning all the cups and winning the leagues, but of course that's a nice bonus. But traditionally, Whiteleaf, I seem to remember, always have quite a good youth system. They always have quite a good up-and-coming sort of crop of talent. And so I assumed before the match that it would be quite a good game. So I think for us to beat Whiteleaf so convincingly, and I know their goalkeeper's played quite a few first-team games for them as well, as understudy to Slav when Slav's not been around. I think he actually came on at our place when we played him in the Velocity earlier in the season.
Oh, okay.
I think he came on late on. He's obviously thought of very highly, the keeper.
He did. It sounds silly to say, seeing as they conceded 8, but he did look good actually.
Yeah.
And again to reiterate, some of our goals were screamers as well.
Yeah.
I know keeper saving them. So yeah, I thought he looked all right.
Yeah, I actually have seen the goals back, so I have seen the goals, although I wasn't there. I mean, Bobby Burton will have to probably touch on, because 4 goals in the cup final deserves a little bit of his own little mention. But it's so nice that we've got people like, and I'll name these two because they've been sort of made their first team debuts in the league. You know, Jake King, Luca obviously come on at Dulwich as well, and then for them to go and have such success with the under-18s, that must be pleasing for you, because. You know that you're demonstrating, your club's demonstrating a clear pathway of, look, if you're good enough, then you are going to get a chance.
Well, I tell you what, I mean, certainly. So you mentioned Worthing there. So Worthing have dominated under-18s football for probably the last decade in the county. One of the guys in the Isthmian League actually said he was, I mean, I won't name the name just in case somebody from Worthing listens to this, if they do, that actually it was quite pleasing not to have Worthing in the final this year, because they always seem to win it. And, there's a possibility tomorrow that Lewis might do us a favour and either just need a draw against Worthing, and we have a chance to win the league for the first time in 10 years. So, Burgess Hill, part of what we want to achieve here is that pathway. We talked about that last time, 14s, 15s, 16s, 18s. And, we want to be known for producing quality players. And we think that's part of Worthing's success in the past. And, and that's what we want to achieve here. And, certainly, Gary Mansell's role as director of football in that, I mean, we'll talk about Gary in terms of managerial thing later, but what is undeniable about Gary is that from youth football, he's one of the best in the business in the county, and he is full-time dedicated to developing Burgess Hill. And, if you think that under-18s are good, you wait to see these under-16s because they're the best in the county, and the under-15s are as well. Now, we've got two weird things in under-14s in the fact that they're two good sides, but if you merge the two, they've probably got the best in the county. So that's something you need to sort out. But ultimately, this pathway is really strong. And we've now got this Haywards Heath Academy thing. It's a full-time education programme linking with, again, all of that fits into we want to produce the best youngsters in the county to feed into the first team. So very, very long answer. Oh my God, absolutely pleased. Monday was a real statement, but watch this space. There's a lot more to come.
Absolutely. And, I'll just briefly go back to when you mentioned there about we have the potential to win the league if a result goes in our favour. And you said it's been a decade. And just thinking back to that team, we had the likes of like Dan Perry was in that team. Obviously, everyone knows about Dan Perry. We had people like Greg Lua, who was then signed by Steve Bruce at Hull, went professional for a number of years, is now in the National South with Horsham. People like Will Miles, who went on trial with Stoke and unfortunately basically had a horrific injury at an awful time that probably cost him from being a professional footballer because he was more than good enough. And Lee Harding as well, who people at Burgess Hill will know, but he's now made 300 appearances at Horsham and has been a very, very good servant, at a very good level. And those are 4 people of all the same team that won the league 10 years ago, and now we're starting to see this is the sort of new wave of our academy coming through. So it should give people that perhaps aren't too aware with under-18s, where are they going to be in the future. Hopefully that can give you a little bit of perspective about the sort of type of talent and the type of level that being at the top end of the Sussex, the sort of Southern League and winning cups like the Isthmian Cup can hopefully we can lead to some really, really promising high non-league footballers or maybe even professional footballers in the future. And that's obviously great for Burgess Hill.
Absolutely. And similarly, in terms of the girls and the women's, so we announced today the pathway for the girls. So next season we're going to have under 16s and under 18s as pathway teams. So what that means is a lot more focus on more training, more analysis, more sort of nutritional stuff and all that kind of well-being stuff, and a real focus on them, because where we feel with the women's team is that we want it to be known for developing young, good quality players that then sort of push into that women's team. And I think that's where we're going in that area as well. So yeah, I mean, both sides of that is where we want to be as a club. We've got the facilities to do it. We've got a good location. We've got a good team of people that we have here. And I've got to tell you, from a financial perspective, it washes its own face. It's something that is worthwhile doing because in effect, it sort of, it pays for having a director of football. Put it that way.
Yeah.
So, it's a worthwhile exercise from a financial perspective too.
Absolutely. And Lynden, I know you were at the game, and I know we've sort of mentioned people like Jake and Luca, but I said we mentioned Bobby Byrne. I mean, how impressed were you with him on Monday?
I was impressed with quite a few of the players, actually. I could sit here and name them all.
RDA.
Oh, yeah, but he was brilliant.
He's 16 as well.
16. I said, where the hell's he come from? The under-16s.
Yeah, I didn't recognise him because I've seen a few under-18 games this season.
Yeah.
Quite a few, actually. And I didn't recognise him. So I don't know if he's relatively new to the setup, like being brought in late.
He's been at the under-16s all season.
Yeah.
But as I said, he's just been promoted into the under-18s. And you think, wow, he's got 2 more years at that.
Yeah, no,
he was unbelievable.
He looked really good. Obviously, Bobby looked good. Luca, I've never seen Luca score. I said this to I think I said this early in the interview. And I said it to Luca on the pitch after full time as well. I was like, I've never seen him score a tap in. All the goals I've ever seen Luca score have been like
such a Chris Welp.
He cuts in on his right and just bends him into the top corner without fail.
So in that case, on Saturday at Dulwich, when he came on, he should have just shot.
He should have, yeah. He
just every time he got the ball, just shoot.
Luca should be operating a shoot on sight policy. So Luca was brilliant. Bobby was brilliant. Jake Rhodes in goal as well. He made some crucial saves. Like a 2-0.
He was critical because although you'd say 8-2, what would the goalkeeper do?
Yeah, sitting in a deck chair.
2-0, he made 2 or 3 absolutely critical saves. And had we gone sort of 4-0 down, we wouldn't have got back to that. They could have just blocked it out.
Yeah, and I remember there was a one-on-one that he had absolutely no right saving. And he made a fantastic stop. He made a great stop. I think this was after 1-0 actually, down low to his right. I thought he had a really good game, as did most of our defence actually. I know that sounds silly saying we went 2-0 down after 10-15 minutes, but it was one of those games. I think I said this after the Brentwood game for the senior team, that not a single player had a bad game. And I think Bertie reflected that in his interview when I tried to push him for a man of the match. We could have discussed that all night because all 11 plus players, because subs as well that came on that pitch could have had a shout for man of the match. It was such a good, enjoyable game to watch, and
notable shout out for the fans.
I was just about, you literally took the words out of my mouth.
Yeah, that was good.
I'm going. I'll let David do this. No, I was going to say it was a really good travelling sport as well. There was a fair few of us there, so really, really good. I'm looking forward to watching more of those boys play more senior football.
Yeah. I mean, that's the plan, isn't it? Hopefully, obviously, like we mentioned, there's already, examples we can mention, and it is I would say slightly harder because obviously now we've got to remember we are step 3 and not step 4. Like for example, Harry Lawson come through and is cemented his place in the team, and that was at step 4. Obviously, I'm sure it would have been exactly the same at step 3, but it obviously is a step up to then try and make your name in step 3 rather than step 4. It's obviously it's not saying it can't happen because Worthing do it and they're step 2, but it is slightly more difficult for these boys now to break in rather than it was for the likes of Harry Lawson. But like I said before, if they're good enough, then it doesn't matter. 16, 17.
This the academy thing will help on this.
Yeah.
So what they're doing is we're putting a team into the under-19s Youth Alliance League. Mm-hmm. So it will allow those under-18s this year to stay affiliated with the club.
Yeah.
So people like Jake King and Luca and whatever will have another year, while previously there'd be no junior football for them to play. Yeah. We don't think. Well, I have no idea. It's general felt that the under 23s is not where we want to play. But this under 19s will give us another year of those players to give them enough time to hopefully mature. To play at step 3.
That's a great shout.
Yeah. I'm not 100% sure about the league setup, but I know, for example, teams like Chatham do it. I'm pretty sure Dartford do it. And I mean, to be honest, anything that a club like Chatham does, anything a club like Dartford does, they don't.
Got to be worth doing it. They know what they're doing. So.
Exactly. So I'm pretty sure a load of like the National South Kent, like Maidstone, for example, I think do it.
That's exactly who the clubs we have to play.
Yeah.
In this Youth Alliance League.
So I mean, there's just examples of successful clubs that, and like I say, probably obviously I don't know, but I'd imagine quite a few people have come into the first team setup at those mentioned clubs from playing the under 19 Alliance League. So like you say, it's really, really good because obviously when 18s finish, we either sort of dual sign them and they go and play county league football or East Mid South football, and try and sort of build up the men's team experience. Now we can help that transition, like you say, with sort of year of football, to make them sort of fitter, stronger, and more prepared for life at step 3. So I mean, all in all, the youth system's absolutely flying the pathway. Let's be honest, it's really exciting. Touched off by Monday's thumping 8-2 win, and maybe a double. Maybe.
Come on, Lewis.
I hope so. Come on, Lewis.
Lewis, to do us a favour.
Don't often cheer on Lewis.
What could possibly go wrong, Lewis? Do you do us a favour? So I mean, we've covered the youth. Like I say, when we started doing this podcast, you actually reached out to us and said, look, it'd be a great idea to come back on, and we wholeheartedly agree. And then we also unanimously said, look, it's a great idea to sort of cover the recent events that have happened at the club. Everyone that is going to listen to this knows what's happened at the club. Obviously, we've had a change of managerial in terms of that Jay's left and Gary's now solely the first team manager. I suppose, without sort of giving you any prompts or asking any questions, do you mind just, it could be for 2 minutes, could be for 5 minutes, whatever you want to say.
Could be for an hour.
Do you mind just sort of, in your own words, sort of giving us a little bit of sort of brief context, perhaps into the into sort of maybe why that happened that you were allowed to say, and sort of why you felt that the decision you made was the right decision for the club? Yeah.
So I think there's two very distinctive decisions we had to make. And I think one of them is, I don't think it's controversial, and the other one is probably controversial, right? So one I think is something that had to happen, and one is a decision that he just makes. So when I took over as chairman, we had co-management, which is unusual. It is unusual for football clubs.
It is very unusual.
When Vince was chairman, Gary was very insistent that he went into this co-management thing. He'd only been manager for a short period of time. He was very good friends with Jay. Jay had all those skills that Gary felt that he was lacking. And I remember Vince and I talking about this, and both of us were kind of dead against this because we said, well, how's this going to work, and whatever. But though between the two of them, so Jay was our recruitment guy at the time. We talked about, well, can he just be your assistant manager? No, I need co-management and whatever. So fair enough. We had other things to sort out at that particular point, so we just crack on.
Yeah.
It's been successful. It's been really, really successful.
Yeah.
I've got to tell you, as chairman, I don't know how it works. Right? We've seen 2 years of success, and I get to speak to the managers, I get to speak to the management team, I get to speak to players, whatever. I have no idea how the dynamics of what people did in that whatsoever. I don't know who picked the team. I don't know who's decided to pick the players or whatever, which is strange. And if I don't know, then nobody really knows. So co-management, but it kind of worked. So it was fine. So for me, from a chairman's perspective, I always found it quite difficult when we didn't perform very well, and I'd sit down with the managers, and I couldn't quite work out what the problem was or what lessons we could learn from it, because sometimes they had different opinions on what it was. So I'd go to speak to one manager, they'd say something different from another manager, and you think, oh, well, this is a bit
to be
odd.
expected to an extent.
Yeah, and the more you think about it, what you have there is you have two individuals that, we talk about football having different opinions, right? Who actually have, quite understandably, not thought of either of their things, actually different views on things, different approaches, right? Different opinions on it. And when things go well, when things don't go well, it exposes it even more, and you think, okay, hold on a sec. How do we actually, who takes responsibility for this, right? And I thought actually it would end up being problematical if we failed, if we didn't do well, right? But actually, over the last few months, it was beginning to show more. Gary had mentioned to me, that he was sort of unhappy with the decision making. Sometimes, it was unclear. I'd spoken to a number of players over a number of months who'd said to me, this is getting a bit weird, right? I've got one manager telling me one thing, one saying other, not just in training, but during games. How do you decide? You've got, we're losing 20 minutes to go. We've got to make changes. How does that, I don't even know, I can't even imagine how stressful that was for those two guys to actually work that out, right? And, when I was hearing it from players, right, I was thinking, well, this is really odd. And Gary was mentioning it. Gary had, from what I understand, had spoken to Jay about his concerns about it. He hadn't. I don't think he'd been totally clear about what his view, what it was, but he expressed to Jay that he was troubled with where it was going and the clarity that we're giving to players. So anyway, I was like, okay, well, the last thing I want to do is change anything. It's going well. It's fine. Just paper over the cracks and whatever. And then my kind of feeling was, well, let's just get to the end of the season, right? And then let's just sit down and then work out what happened. So I got a text on the Monday of the week from Jay, and I don't know whether there was things that had gone on or sort of conversations that it had or whatever. The text went something like, we need to sit down with players now. Are Gary and I signed up fully for next season? Right? I go, okay. So in my head, I want to get to the end of the season and then work this out.
Sorry to interrupt you. Just to clarify for people listening, when you say need to talk to players, I assume they meant in terms of retention for next year. Yes, for retention
for the next season, negotiate and players. I thought, oh, okay. All right. So I rang Gary up and Gary was, David, I don't want to do this anymore. I just don't want to do, co-management isn't working. Right. So you've got three choices. You've either got to, I step away, I do my director of football role, and you give Jay the job as manager. Or Jay goes and I become the manager, sole manager, and I do that. Or you both of us out and you get somebody else in. Right? That was my three choices that I had. So that's decision one. Okay, I don't think that's controversial, right? Basically, the co-management had run as far as it was going to go. It's run its course. It's been very, very successful. I think both guys have done an amazing job. I think Jay has done exactly what we needed to for him. I have no fault whatsoever in terms of what Jay's done. I've got to say though, having been chairman for 15 months, I don't know whether Gary is a good manager on his own, right? I don't know whether Jay is a good manager on his own. I know that it's worked together, right? But actually, it's very difficult to unpick this kind of success, right? It's been a whole smorgasbord of things that have occurred. Now, there is also, just to throw in here, there is no coincidence. I don't think there's any coincidence that we've had the success that we've had. We're going to finish 8th, the highest place in 144 years of the club's history. Yep. It's no coincidence that it's come at a time when Vicky and I have turned up and ploughed almost £1.5 million in this club in 2 years. Right? They have budgets that nobody has ever had before, right? Sure. So do take that into account as well. There's a whole selection of things that have occurred that's been successful, of which Jay is an important part of it. Gary is an important part of it. So, but to say that one or the other is I don't know. And because my crystal ball, I can't work out what's going to happen in the future, right? So I don't think that's controversial. The controversial is which one of those three decisions I made, right? So let's take the one out go and get rid of both of them and start again. Right?
I mean, I can't believe my phone didn't ring for that. But
So I don't feel that is where we were. I don't feel that. So I've got a good relationship with Gary. I actually have a good relationship with Jay. They're both good guys. I like them both. Getting in somebody I've no idea starting with probably a brand new squad because they'd want to bring something in. This is about building, right, some momentum.
Yeah, so I think everyone would agree that would have been the sort of maddest of the
maddest
options to choose. Who do you even get? Like
exactly. I don't know whether that was a thing. So
does leave you with the most difficult options.
The difficult options, and all I can do is based upon the inputs that I have, right? And my feeling is that that Gary is the future of our football club, right? Not just just as manager, but obviously as director of football. The feeding of the kids through that, the style of football that we want to play, the way that he interacts with Vicky and I. He's our guy. Right? He's our football guy. In fairness, when we first involved in the club, I liked Gary. I thought he was our guy then, and Jay for me was always brought in as a crutch for Gary. Right? That was how I saw it. And as I said, Jay's done exactly what we wanted him to do, and has been great. Holding on to Jay as sole manager, it just didn't feel right for me for that. And especially if Gary would have still been director of football, and then it just created weirdness, right? And I just don't feel that with the inputs that I've got, having spoken to players and the management team, and where we are going as a club, that it made any sense. So that's where we got to. I rang Jay up. It wasn't a great conversation. I totally misjudged how upset he would be. All right, but that was my misunderstanding. I thought he kind of would have seen it coming. He didn't see it was coming, which is annoying. I wanted him to stay to the end of the season because he's the last 2 years. He is as much part of that success as everybody, and I wanted him to finish the season and enjoy it and go out on his own terms. Right? I was quite happy for him to tell the world whatever he wanted to say, so that he had enough of this or whatever message he wanted to do. I was quite happy for him, but for his own reasons, he said, I can't do this anymore, and I respect that. So he wanted to finish there and then. And he said, no, I want to tell people what's happened. He wasn't sacked as manager. Yeah, again, this is a very, very unusual situation. Had Jay have been the sole manager and we'd have had this success, if I'd have sacked him, I deserve all the abuse that I'd have got, right? Managers are very rarely made redundant, right? Because you don't normally have two managers. And I think people saw it as a sacking, and it wasn't a sacking. It was, we were going from two managers to have one manager. And it was really difficult to get that across in our statement that we had to make. I didn't want any bad feelings with Jay. He'd done a great job. He'd not let us down in any way, shape or form. But it was very controversial, and it's very controversial for fans out there because, ultimately, they're watching what's going on. I've thought about this quite a lot. I think, Jay is a very, very sociable, personable individual. He's a really nice guy. One of the assets that we had him in as a club is that both before and after the game, he'd go and talk to every single fan, right? And he knew them. He lives in Burgess Hill, right? He's been at the club for many, many years. Gary isn't that man, right? Gary's quite introverted, right? I think he's a genius, Gary, personally, right? But he's quite introverted in the way he doesn't go and talk to all the fans and whatever. That doesn't mean that I think he's just a little bit shy. I might be wrong, and if he's listening to this, which he probably will, I mean it in an insult. I just think that's what he is. He's quite introverted. But actually, Jay isn't. He talks to everybody. Everybody knows Jay. Everybody likes Jay, and I think it hit people hard, that decision. And again, I mistook. I misread the room about how badly that people would take that decision, and you know, there was lots of things put online and in chats and whatever that people shouldn't have shared with me, and I kind of thought, oh, this is really annoying. Why are they saying all this? And that's quite hurtful. And but I kind of get it. I kind of thought that you know, I'm going to be involved in this club for hopefully many, many years to come. I'm hoping that, well, I'm not hoping, but I'm expecting that I'll probably make more controversial decisions than that, and for you guys to have a real go at me. But I didn't think I was going to get this kind of thing. But however, that's kind of how it happened. And you know, I genuinely wish Jay all the best. He genuinely said didn't do anything wrong, and I might be fooling myself. It might be the best thing for his career. Right? I might be wrong. If he picks up the White Hawk job or the Lewis job or whatever job at this there where he's doing it on his own, right? That's the best thing that could have happened to him. But I might be wrong. Who knows? Sure. But from the club's perspective, I haven't financially benefited from the decision. You know, there's no reason for. I haven't taken the job myself as manager. Somebody had put online that Gary had taken Jay's money. You know, why would I do that? Why would I pay Gary more money? You know, there's no financial benefit of it. Yeah. In fairness, there are gaps that have been left by Jay leaving. Especially I would say probably in the recruitment area, which we have to fill. So the money that we were paying for Jay will go to getting somebody who's going to focus on recruitment. And the whole recruitment area, we need to gear up on, because you know we've been sort of messing around in step 4 for a long time, and we're now in step 3. If we're ever going to get to step 2, we need to probably work in ways that we've never done as a club. I don't know. And Gary doesn't know either. And probably Jay didn't know, because he'd not managed at that level either. So we need to go and get experience of people that have kind of been at step 2 and dealt with semi-pros and people that are on full-time contracts eventually. So yeah, so that's a very, very long-winded answer, and I hope I haven't got myself in trouble or upset anybody.
No, not at all.
In that.
No, I mean, we thank you for your honesty and
no,
for
really
agreeing to come on and sort of explain it. I mean, I'd very quickly, like, my sort of 2 cents was, like, I think at the time I was sort of as much shocked as everyone else did, like, and I guess on the face of it, it seemed given our success, I think it was maybe to fans who aren't in the know, and like, I mean, I don't know how to run a football club, I don't know how these decisions are made, like it did seem maybe very confusing, and like you said, everyone loved Jay, we still love Jay, so it was, I think, quite shocking to a lot of people, and a lot of people were maybe understandably upset, maybe not. And I think a lot of the comments I saw was echoing, like, why is he not staying to the end of the season? So I'm glad you sort of reiterate, like, I think we were all in a similar position in his shoes. I think I probably would have said, actually, no, I think I'll make a clean break now, kind of thing. I don't know if that's what his mindset, but I think I would have done a similar thing maybe.
It is for me strange, because we obviously got our award ceremony next Friday, right? And we're going to be celebrating the season. And it feels odd him not being there, right? And it's kind of, you know, I was caught in I don't like lying to people. I really don't. And, you know, I could have lied to him and say, yeah, it's fine. Just, you know, carry on doing what you're doing, and then drop the bombshell at the end of the season. But he asked me a straight question, and I gave him a straight answer. And, you know, really what I wanted to do is I want him to be part of this season. And you know, but then he was very upset and didn't want to be, and I get that. I totally respect that too. So, but it does feel a little bit, for me, the end of the season's felt a little bit muted, because of it, and it feels a little bit odd not having him here to finish this season with us. So, but I think that's what it is. Yeah,
for sure. But yeah, I respect his decision, but I also respect yours as well, and the way you've handled it. It's a difficult one. I wouldn't want to be in your shoes. Oh no, absolutely not. It's actually, one of the questions I was going to ask you actually just answered just there. I was going to sort of say, you know, just because a lot of what I've seen online and a lot of what everyone's seen is some of the points have been like, why was this done now and why wasn't this done at the end of the season? And I was actually going to ask that. I was just going to say, you know, what was your thought process in sort of making the decision now and not waiting to the end of the season? But you've obviously sort of said, and it's probably the reason why, is that you didn't want to sort of lead Jay on, and you didn't want to sort of
not be straight with everybody, basically. Is that fair to say? Is that why?
That's exactly
it was now and it wasn't done?
Exactly. And what would have been absolutely fine is probably a little bit of subterfuge for fans, is that he knew that what the score was. He could have stayed to the end of the season, and then we could have all announced it, and at the right time, and everybody gone, all that. So I think that would have been a better thing. But as I said, emotions take over, and I get that. I think I'm sort of slightly. There's stuff coming my way, but there's a lot of stuff coming Gary's way, and Gary wears his heart on his sleeve at times, and whatever. And I think, Gary's views on this, I can't see him personally benefiting from it. So if he hasn't financially benefited from it, what it has done is that he can't hide.
If anything, he's got more pressure.
He's got way more pressure.
Oh, he's got 100 times more pressure.
Because, he can't hide and say, well, that was the other person's decision, or that was a joint decision that we all made. He's got nowhere to hide, right? So, this is where he's going to have to really step up. And we're not paying him any more money to step up. He's really exposed now that he has to do it. But he genuinely felt this way because he felt, for the benefit of the club and for all of us, that it's the right thing for the club. And if it's not successful, and I haven't got a crystal ball, I don't know. I genuinely don't know what's going to happen over the next 12 months. Right? But if it isn't successful, then he's going to go back upstairs to the full room, and he's going to have to go and find us a new manager. And it's going to be much clearer for me in where we are. I mean, had next season we had joint managers, right, and we're towards the relegation zone, what do I do then? Well, which manager do I get rid of, or do I get rid of both of them? I don't know. It's really confusing. That co-management thing is very confusing. So, Gary, he's brought more pressure onto himself because he thinks it's the right thing to do for the club. What can you say? I mean,
he laid all the options out there, like those three. There is no other option.
No, that clearly is true.
The only fourth one would have been obviously keeping it as they are, but that was clearly not working. So those three options, both one of them, Jay, Gary, or neither of them, there's nothing else you can do. So it had to be one of them. And
no, I think of the three options, it's 100% the right option. I think, look, just for my sort of, I'm always very vocal about things, and I've got a sort of podcast to actually, express opinions on, so I might as well not.
Why we've given you this platform?
This is my final appearance on the. No, I'm joking. I think you actually hit, quite a lot of the main topics there. Really, I think initially it was very much surprise and shock. Again, I think you probably slightly underestimated how popular Jay was with the fans, like you've mentioned. But again, Jay had a spell here before you were involved at the club. So again, your knowledge of Jay doesn't sort of span back to that time as well. And even though that ended with us not being successful then, it's everyone, and again, maybe to your point that you mentioned that he's very personable and he's just a really, really nice guy overall on and off the pitch. He had built up that connection with fans. And especially now, because essentially what happened was when Gary was looking for somebody to come in alongside him, as you mentioned when you started off, everyone was a bit sceptical about Gary and Jay working together, because we'd seen that Gary had a spell and it wasn't as successful, and then we'd seen that Jay before had a spell and like I've mentioned, that wasn't particularly successful, and then you're sort of putting two people that hadn't had the success they wanted and put them together, but actually, as we all know and as we've all seen, it turned into the best spell in our history.
It did, and I'm sure I said on the last podcast, I defended the co-management thing, because I basically said, look, we've got the best of both worlds, because there were skills that they both had. But eventually, and I think at the start of the season, absolutely. I think by the end of the season, unfortunately, the disadvantages of co-management had started to outweigh the advantages. So it kind of thing. But you're right. There was a really strange time deciding the formation of the co-management thing, and it was very odd, and it was pointed out at the time that this is a strange. But then last season.
Exactly. Which sort of, gets into my point, because look, obviously we know everyone's got an opinion online, and to be fair, what I would say is that a lot of the stuff online doesn't come from Burgess Hill fans. It comes from Jay's friends. It comes from Jay's contacts in football. It comes from other Sussex clubs. We know what football's like. We know what social media's like. As soon as your big breaking news comes out, everyone in Sussex, everyone in football suddenly has an opinion on it. Suddenly wants to share the opinion. Doesn't matter whether it's a nice opinion or not. It's still going to get shared.
Or how much they actually know.
Exactly, or how much they actually know. A lot of the stuff that was because obviously I see all the comments, because obviously I do all the socials, so I know sort of who's who. A lot of the stuff shared wasn't actually from Burgess Hill fans, wasn't from the season ticket holders, wasn't from the away fans, wasn't from the Alliance. It was a lot of it was from people that Jay knew personally, people that had seen the headline of David and Vicky have got rid of Jay. Jay's my friend. Let's back up Jay. So I must
exactly.
I must take.
Which is not a totally unjustifiable response.
No, and it isn't. And I tell you what, it's learning non-league. Is the when you go and support a championship club, you don't get to meet any of the managers or you don't get to meet any of the players. They are just on the pitch. They are away from you, and when you know somebody and you have a drink with them after every game, and they live 100 yards down the road from you, it becomes personal. And the relationship you then have with that person is more important than the relationship you have with the club. And that's a bit of a learning curve for me, because I just think, Burgess Hill is just like a mini Millwall, right? But it's not. The dynamics work very, very differently. And so, I said I totally underestimated that. I do hope that people, when the dust settles, I think the last 2 years for Jay has done huge benefit to his career. I think, where he was before, when he'd left Haywards Heath and he'd gone coaching at Eastbourne Borough and then brought back into Burgess Hill, where his career was then and where it is now, I think he's a very, very attractive option.
Definitely a net benefit, surely.
So his stock price has gone through the roof.
100%.
And I think, I'm hoping that when all starts, whether it's friends or him or whatever, will go, actually, that stint at Burgess Hill, I know it didn't end in the way I wanted it to be, was actually, it was great to be there at the time, but actually what it's done for me, and what he's done for himself, not for him, but what he's done for himself there, and putting himself in the shop window. And I don't think, I've heard all sorts of clubs that he's been linked to, and he would not have been linked to those clubs 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And it's because of the work that he's done here, and I'm hoping that it all turns out to be the best for him.
No, I think we all wish him the best. Like, I think there's no ill will or anything for anyone here. And I saw him the day after, and obviously he was understandably crestfallen. But yeah, I think it will be good for him, and we wish him all the best. And wherever he lands, he will land on his feet for sure.
And I think this is the final point, because I know we're going to finish off on a much sort of happier note, let's say, with a sort of a run through of the season. But what I would finally say is that nobody knows if it was the right decision, the wrong decision. Nobody knows if it was a mistake. Nobody knows if it was an absolute genius move. Nobody knows. Nobody can go online and say, wow, what an error that is. Nobody can go online and say, that's a really good decision, actually. Nobody knows.
It hasn't stopped them.
This could be our Liam Rossini of a moment, couldn't it? You're right. No idea.
Yeah, and obviously, like we've mentioned, like we all know, everyone's going to have an opinion. Everyone's going to share an opinion. A lot of it's going to be a negative opinion because Jay's so popular. B, because from an outside point of view, it does look a bit of a strange decision. But that's obviously people that don't know the ins and outs have now listened to hopefully what you've got to say, and hopefully at least can understand the position that you found yourself in. It wasn't as if you woke up one morning and thought, do you know what, actually, I'm going
to sack a manager for banter.
It's going a bit too well. This manager, let's just throw a bit of chaos in it. It wasn't obviously like that for people that idiots online that might think it was. It wasn't a financial decision, like you say. There was no massive bust up behind the scenes that we're trying to cover up. None of that happened. Hopefully people sort of understand a little bit as to what happened. Everyone wishes Jay well. Everyone wishes Gary well. There's no... Look, our fans were obviously disappointed that Jay left. they've got a great connection with Jay, but everyone also knows that it wasn't just Jay. This wasn't just Jay's baby that he's cradled for the last 2 years, and actually Gary was there to put the cones out. Everyone knows it was very much 50-50. Everyone knows it was very much they contributed both. You know, Gary has got a lot of work to do because, you know, Jay was a very big part of this. Equally, if it was roles reversed, we'd be saying Jay's got his work cut out. Gary was a huge part of this. Yeah. You know, everyone, you know, it started quite well for Gary. Obviously, the proof's going to be next season and you know, seasons, you know, forthcoming after that. But you know, there's no reason why we can't, you know, continue on the trajectory, easier for me to say, that we're on. So people just have to support the decision. Are allowed to disagree with it. That's absolutely fine. But we all want the same thing. We all want Burgess Hill to be successful. So hopefully, that's why I'm very grateful that you've come on and been so honest, because it could have been very easy for you to just brush it under the carpet and let's full focus on next year. So I do really, really appreciate you coming on. I know Lynden does as well. And let's sort of finish up by actually discussing the actual season as a whole, because as you've mentioned, it's been the best season in our history.
It has been.
I've loved it. I've loved it.
It's been so good.
I've had so many. I mean, it's been some great days here. Yeah. You know, I've done the match notes for Saturday and just going what kind of things I can talk about. But we have 4 games over 1,000 people here this season.
That's mad.
I mean, it's absolutely fantastic. You know, over 800 average crowd.
Yeah, which is shot up from I think it was about 700.
Was it even that high? I was going to say it wasn't even that high.
501. Yeah. So I mean, some great atmospheres in the ground. Yeah, I'm loving the group of teenagers. Right,
the new wave.
The new wave who keep turning up.
New wave Burgess Hill fans.
Each, in fact, we've created a new season ticket primarily for them.
I rate that so much, by the way. I'm glad you mentioned that, because I don't see a lot of clubs doing that kind of thing.
No, it's well, you know, the problem is
good.
Most clubs, and maybe we're going to hopefully don't create a rod for our own back. Most clubs don't even allow them in unaccompanied.
Yeah, true.
And you know, the thought of you know these kids, I don't know what they're 14, 15, 16 or whatever they are, being able to jump on a bus or walk here, you know, independent, meet their mates. It's fantastic.
It's so fantastic. It's so good, because especially I remember when I was that age, like I can't remember what the price was. I want to say, was it 40 quid for the season ticket? Yeah. Like I think that's so good for all the home games. Like I remember when I was that age, like I didn't have money. Like it's not like you might have a paper round at that age, but you're not earning real money. So and some parents like can't afford to like spend things on things like football tickets. So to have such an affordable price bracket and for something kids to do is I think it's such a good thing to do. And when I saw that, was like really one of the best news stories I've seen come out of the club. I thought, like, there's been so many fantastic news stories this season. But that was one of the highlights for me. I really like that.
But I mean, it's genuinely, it wouldn't have bothered if there wasn't a growing bunch of kids there. But you know, generally, I mean, it's really. I'm very sad. But when I see people that I've never seen before in my life, walking past these windows with Burgess Hill stuff on,
I love it.
I've seen them before.
Yeah.
So you know, it's fantastic. I got talking to, when I was at Chichester, a guy stood next to me. And I hadn't seen him before, and he was obviously supporting Burgess Hill, right? And I've got
as he should,
and he said, "So what do you make of the J thing then?" Right? and I said, "Yeah, difficult." And he said, "Cool, it must have been really difficult to give him the news." And I said, "Yeah, it was." He said, "Well, you gave it." And I said, "So you're on the committee or something?" So
I would have rated it so much if you turned around and said, "Yeah, God, these owners don't know what they're doing."
Absolute shock of a decision. And you think, I love it, right? There's the people that are turning up that I don't know and who don't know me, who now support Burgess Hill. That's a sign, isn't it? It's a sign that we're getting people that you know, have no previous connection. And with all due respect to the Alliance, who are absolutely brilliant, the ultras that we have are absolutely fantastic. But ultimately, you guys would just turn up if we were in county level 2. So you know, if we do need, maybe not.
No, they would. They'd turn up if you were playing at Fairfield Rec. Like.
So you know, but actually growing. If we're gonna ever progress, we need to get out of those and get new people that have never come.
Sure.
Yeah,
that's the future.
People who don't even like football, we need to get
the youth is the future of everything. Like everything will die die if you don't encourage young people to continue doing it. You have the same problem in every sport. Like we're massively developing our pool, the youth in our pool teams at the moment. It's the same thing. Like if you don't develop or encourage or entice young people to get involved with the sport, then the sport dies.
I mean, me and George, when we were 13, 14, when we started coming similar age to some of the boys that are there now, we just used to come after school on the typically Tuesday night games when we were at home. We just to pop down. It would sort of be arranged at school. Well, Burgess Hill are playing tonight. All right, let's sort of go down and do it. And then suddenly we'd get more mates down, and it'd be very similar. That's why I like seeing it, because me and George always say it. That's exactly how we started. We were just there with our mates, dicking around really on a Tuesday night after school.
Still dicking around
now. But that's how
access to adult money now.
Exactly, and we're still here. Me and George are still here. 8, 9, 10 years later, we still come to the majority of the games. That's going to happen for some of those boys. Some of those boys are gonna come to loads more games. They're going to be here for the future. Who knows what those sort of boys have here? But it's like you say, we need the newer fans, the sort of hardcores, we've secured. We're very lucky, as you know, that we've got
locked in for life.
Yeah, and we've got fans that doesn't matter where we are, and then there'll be 30 at least Burgess Hill fans. There's no reason why we can't grow that to 60. It's like what you mentioned before about you love it when you see somebody that you aren't too familiar with and they're in Burgess Hill stuff or they're at home games. For me, it's exactly the same thing, but at away games, I love it when we go away and there's people standing with us, or even just like dotted around the ground. And they're supporting Burgess Hill, and I don't know who they are.
Yeah,
they're not in the alliance. They're not personal friends of mine. They're someone I don't talk to on a home game, and I'm like, oh, you're Burgess Hill. Like,
it's great.
Who are you? Wow, that's what I love, and that's happened so much this season. We see different faces pop up at away games. The attendances have shot up, like we've said.
But obviously when you try new things. So 3G's been hugely successful.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been successful for the quality of football that we're seeing. Didn't lose a single game in January, where we didn't play a single game in last January at home. Obviously, all of the time that it's being used, it has a huge financial benefit to the club, all those kind of things. But generally, it's great. But all the other things we talked about, the PA system, we talked about that when we first did that.
Yeah.
That's been incredible.
Floodlights.
The floodlights, the scoreboard, loving the scoreboard still. And then the tent.
Possibly might have been the best addition. For something so simple in terms of it's just a bit of canvas.
So
for something so simple.
So Brad has sent us a picture. So when it was I was up in London that day when they installed it, and Brad has sent us a picture, and my shoulders dropped, and I went,
we had this conversation.
It looks rubbish.
The photos did not do it justice.
And he said, no, David, the photograph does not do it justice.
We spoke about this on the podcast, didn't we? Actually, yeah.
It's so weird. I don't know why it looks so bad with it, but it looks fantastic. And I've enjoyed the live music before the game.
Yeah.
Because I like live music, and trying to create that fan thing before the game and whatever. And other reasons to come here than just football. And I think there's been some really good things we've tried this season, and I'm really pleased with how it's all come up. Again, I know, this is not necessarily football stuff, but it's an important thing. So, Bradbury has done an amazing job of the sponsors. We've got 3 times as much money in a sponsorship this year than we got last year. That is a substantial chunk of money. And Dave's going, right, I'm going to get another 25% next year. And, there's some decent companies out there that have given us decent sponsorship deals, which we didn't have before.
It's not it's like local businesses. Like there's some big names out there, like Guinness are out there, Specsavers are out there. These aren't just local Burgess Hill that we've done a favour for and tapped up. Like there's some big sponsors out there. It's really impressive to see.
And pretty much every game is sponsored by somebody now. Like every home game is sponsored, which sounds just run of the mill, but it's not been at Burgess Hill.
No.
Well, a bit weirdly enough, this Saturday we've actually had to because we've cocked up and whatever, but we've got a match sponsor and a match ball sponsor.
Oh wow!
So there we go.
Oh, did somebody double book?
Wow.
Well, we've all been there. Last game of the season,
the pain of success, we've got too many sponsors now.
Exactly. The only thing about the home games is our home form's been weirdly bad, hasn't it? And I don't know maybe we've made the pitch too nice or whatever. But
it's been up and down. I wouldn't say it's been bad. I think.
It's it would certainly be a thing that I'd like to see improved on next year. Purely because I think the crux of every very successful team is be really hard to beat on your home turf, and there's been too many occasions where we've been quite easy to beat on a home turf. I do think part of that is actually because of the new pitch, and what I mean by that is that teams really want to come and play here. Yeah. Teams really want to come and beat us here.
We're too attractive.
Exactly. But the good news is that'll wear off next year for a lot of clubs. It's the same with everything, right? Like wherever we go, if we were going to go to a new ground or a new pitch or a new really good facility, we want to go and turn up there. We want to go and put a really good performance in. I honestly think that feeds into a little bit of the reason as to why people have come to Burgess Hill before, and for our pitch, poor Rich Mamoni tried so hard, but sometimes towards the end of the season the pitch would start to deteriorate. Now we've got an absolutely fantastic pitch. Everybody wants to come and play here. The facilities are really good. We look after people at the football club, the players, visiting supporters, everybody.
I can't tell you the number of emails we get on Monday morning from opposing directors saying we are the nicest club to come to, and you go, that's not what we're trying to create here.
Thank you, but
yes, we want them to be petrified about coming into this. But no, actually, I mean, it is lovely that people say that, but you do wonder whether that goes into the
I honestly think that is part of the reason, and I think that will die off a little bit next year because obviously it's not new next year, it's the second season and we're playing majority of the same team, so I think that will feed into it. But yeah, I would like to see us improve the home form, but it's not been bad, it's not been No.
But my highlights of the season are away games. I mean, because I can de-stress, being the chairman at a home game actually is a job. This is supposed to be my hobby. It's supposed to be my fun thing that I do to relax.
Time off.
Exactly. Match days.
Go figure.
You get. I mean, it's ridiculous. It's crazy. Especially during the game, I get people come in and talk to me.
I very rarely don't see you not talking to someone on a match day, regardless of what the time is.
It's I try and make an effort, and I think that's part of my job is to go and talk to people and find out what they want and whatever. So, but it is hard work. Away games, I love away games because I can just enjoy it and whatever. And God, we've been some really brilliant grounds.
Brilliant away games.
We've had some incredible away trips. You mentioned Chichester on Bank Holiday Monday was awesome.
Yeah, so good.
Primarily because the ground was okay, wasn't it? But ultimately, the away support that we brought that day was just brilliant. The most vocal
we took over
of the lot.
Yeah. We basically had an entire side of the ground, which isn't that common for an away game.
It was so good. It was so good.
I mean, local, but ish.
I mean, we've probably got this season a best away game. You could probably watch a team for a lifetime and not have a St Albans game.
Yeah.
I mean, that was the most incredible experience.
Yeah.
That 4-3 up at St Albans at a great stadium in a big club and whatever.
Huge club.
Dartford was brilliant. That sort of last minute Welps equaliser in again proper stadium. So there was just been some really, really excellent. Ramsgate was good.
Probably the performance of the season.
The performance of the season, especially from the guy, the kid that kept calling you out. Calling you names to try and bring you on. Yeah,
and then George scored, and he went very quiet.
He did.
The fourth goal, and I went to give him a hug. So we're lovers, not fighters at Burgess Hill. Let's not forget that.
But no, Ramsgate was excellent, and again. Proof of how we progress. The year before we went down there, we looked good in the first half. Second half, they just dominated, didn't they? And this year, we just made them look very average. So I've really enjoyed, and I'm really looking forward to some of the away games next season. We've obviously got Eastbourne Borough, Enfield, which I understand has got some kind of
running track
around it. So
I hate grounds with running tracks around it.
It does, but it's not too bad. Enfield has a really nice clubhouse, a really nice bar. Again, I've not been there for 5-6 years, so things might have changed, but it's not too bad. Enfield, it's not. Hornchurch, for example, that is bad. That is a running track that is a million miles away from the ground. Enfield's not too bad. It's not. Yeah, Enfield's a good one. Enfield have really good fans as well, really good support, home and away. Yeah. But proper decent football club. Who I'd imagine will probably be one of the favourites to do well next year. Eastbourne Borough, like you say. Another Three Bridges. Another local.
Do you know what? Three Bridges.
What a season they've had.
Fair play.
They are the best run football club that I've come across. I mean, they're not. I feel sorry for them because they don't have a lot of fans, right? But gosh, they really punch above their weight. And Paul Faley, their chairman, just smart runner of a football club, been doing it a long time, and slick operation, very slick. And I'm pleased as punch they've made, and I can't even imagine what they're going to do next year. No, I couldn't call it. I would really like Jersey to go up.
Oh, we'd all love Jersey.
Me and Brothers were talking about this earlier whilst I was setting up the stuff in here. Yeah, I'd love a Jersey away day.
Because I mean, before your time, I appreciate, but a lot of us had been to Guernsey, and when we were we have been to Guernsey, but unfortunately that Guernsey game never happened because I think it was a bird strike actually that affected the plane, and then anyway, and
was it the officials that couldn't make it or something?
No,
it was. I don't know why that was in my head.
It was the plane because the plane was coming back into the airport, and it got damaged basically by birds on its departure in, and they ended up just cancelling the plane basically and cancelling the trip. But we'd gone up on the Friday night and we were out there, quite a lot of fans, and yeah, bless them, they were all waiting in the airport and it never got to happen. And then 2 weeks later we were all struck down, COVID hit, and the football stopped, so we never actually got to replay that game and go back out there because that season got curtailed. Jersey went down, and unfortunately we've never been back, Guernsey, sorry, but we'd never been back there again. So yeah, Jersey would be.
I'd love to. Yeah, I'd love Jersey
good.
away day.
So
good.
So I mean, the away days have been brilliant. Really,
And our away form, like if I was picking holes at our home form, our away form's been exceptional.
Pretty immaculate.
Yeah, it has. It's been some really good games, really nice away days, interesting places, interesting people. What's quite interesting is how. We talked about this just before the podcast. We were talking about Dulwich, and how each club has its own real identity and its own personality. And it's very strange, isn't it? I mean, you've got hashtags out there, the Dulwiches of the Chathams, have all got their own individual personality, and it's bizarre. I suppose it's a reflection of the towns and places they're in. But,
for sure.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
I kind of enjoyed my day out in Billericay, but I think again it was a strange performance.
I really enjoyed Billericay. I'd never been before. It was a new ground. I really liked the ground. Every interaction I had was very nice people there. Yeah, the performance at Billericay was left a lot to be desired, which was the only thing that sort of let the day down. But if they don't go up, which they are my tip in the playoffs, if they, they're just unbelievable since January. But if they don't go up, I'd be more than happy to head back up there again next year at some point. Hopefully more good weather. But it's just like teams like that. We've mentioned St Albans. I still can't get my head around that we've beaten St Albans, let alone we're in the same league as St Albans. We've gone to St Albans and beat them. Like a Burgess Hill team of like 4 or 5 years ago, if you said, well, we're going to go and beat St Albans away, I'll be like, what, an FA Cup tie then?
Yeah.
No, in a league tie. It's Welling, St Albans, Billericay, Dartford.
It's really exciting. I mean, I got a feeling. I mean, the problem is with football fans, and we all do this, is that we get a bit of success and we bank that success. And we go, right, well, that's guaranteed. Right, what are we going to do next? Right, and we had a honeymoon in this league. Right, we've come in, we've got excited about it. We had co-management, and we've come eighth. Absolutely fantastic. I think it's going to be harder next season.
Oh, it will. 100%.
Because I think we were probably the deadly submarine. People they wrote us off at the start of the season, so we're going to come bottom. Right? Probably lots of clubs underestimated what we could do. I suspect that over the summer there's going to be lots of people trying to pick off some of our players because they're good enough to get eighth in this league, then they might be good enough to play for them. So we're going to be fighting to retain some of those players. So we don't know what kind of squad we're going to have next year. I got a feeling that next year is going to be tougher than this year.
100%.
So I mean I don't know. I don't, it surprised me what we've achieved this year. There's no way I've taken eighth. Of course I would have. I'd have taken fifth from bottom. But what happens next season? This is. We want to get into the National League South at some point. This club is not ready for the National League South. We don't have a ground that is big enough to support a National League South team. And we need to sort that out. And we need a few years to sort that out.
Yeah.
So for me, it's about, I want to stay in that league. Right? That's the number one. I want to get through to the first round of the FA Cup. Number two, that's the two priorities, right? You know, from the thought that maybe we could get to playoffs and whatever, it'd be nice if we can do it. But we're talking about there's probably 10 clubs in this league that are substantially bigger than us.
Oh yeah.
Not just, you know, in terms of crowd, but in terms of resources and whatever. So, you know, to expect to be in the top 5, it'd be great if we can do it, but you know, that is not where we are as a club yet.
No.
And I think, you know, we need 2-3 years building at this level to get to that particular point. And in that time, if we have some great cup runs, and that's what we have a good solid season and we have a good couple of cup runs, that's where we want to be doing. While Vicky and I can concentrate on, you know, building the crowd still, sorting out all the sort of facilities. I mean, this building, we've got to sort all of this end out. You know, at the moment, the official capacity of this ground is 2,000. Hasn't been tested for very many years. I think when we had 1,500 in here, I think it's a little bit tight, to be honest. Well, you can get them in, but the quality of watching the game is limited because you're watching from behind somebody else. To be in the National League South, you need to have 3,000. And if you want to stay there, it's got to be 4,000. So we've got to work out how we double the capacity of this ground with all the challenges that we have that this ground's got to do. So we need a bit of time to do that.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is if we get promoted, fantastic. Well, that's a problem. That's a problem to have. But ultimately, we want to consolidate. We want to build. We just want to, you know, sort out and improve the club overall at this level. If it happens, it happens. If it doesn't happen, as long as we don't go down, that's the aim for next season. And does that sound depressing? I don't.
No, I think that's
to be.
completely.
If we were to go and say, right, we're 8th this year, I want to be 6th next year. Gary will. Gary will say, we can do better, and because he's a competitive guy, I'm a realist, and I don't want to overpromise anything. I don't know what we're going to do.
Well,
they are
completely
changing
fair
the
and reasonable.
playoffs. They are changing the playoffs next season. I understand. Yeah, so they're going to do it like they do with the National League South, where
7th.
Yeah, 7th.
Oh wow.
So
I like that.
That does give us a little bit more chance to make playoffs.
No, do you know what? It's actually really, really good that I think you mentioned all of that, because everyone knows that I'm a very negative Nancy when it comes to Burgess Hill. When it comes to like predicting things, I always think, you know, we'll finish worse than we actually do, or the game will go worse than how it actually does. And always in the back of my mind is how Cray Valley have gone this season. Cray Valley were promoted from the league we were in last year, 2 years ago. They did very well, and then they got to the playoffs in their first year, which was last year in the Isthmian Prem. Did tremendously well. Did so good. This year they're one game away from going back down to the Isthmian South East in their second year. We'll obviously come to that second year next season. Now, you know, I'm not saying there's a huge comparison between us and Cray Valley. You know, everyone's run differently. We've got you know, sort of good resources and everything at this club is, like you've mentioned, we're planning for National South eventually. But it's very, very key to remember, and as daft as it sounds, this is a thing. Second season syndrome in football. It sounds ridiculous, but it's a thing, because this is what happens, right? You have one good season, and then that's your sort of benchmark that you set yourself at, and then you go, right, well, it must be, it must exceed that. And while of course everyone wants to be better than they were the year before, actually, are we at a top 8 step 3 side at the moment? Probably not. We're probably, you know, probably not, right? And that's not, you know, that's not negative on anybody. That's just, like you say, being a bit realistic. We've got to, first and foremost, like we did at the start of last year, we have to make sure that we're not near the bottom 4, bottom 5 in sort of January, February, March. Do that. Everyone will be confident that we won't be there. I don't think we'll be there. I know you won't think we'll be there, etc., etc. But, you know, bigger clubs than us have yo-yoed.
Yeah, I mean, look at Welling. I mean, you know, this is exactly right. So to the Cray Valley PM, we obviously played them at the start of the season, and I like the guys at Cray Valley. Actually, I kind of hope they don't go down. But they were saying that basically they were so successful, all their best players got picked off, and that was exactly what happened. The first season, oh look, they've got a whole load of players there. We're just going to paying them a load of money,
especially in an area that Crewe are in, right? You know, they've got
super competitive.
Exactly.
The National South clubs in London.
So we've got. Gary and the team have got a seriously big job this summer of retaining the players we need, getting the new players in that we need to boost the team.
It's making me organise this team photo very difficult.
Do you know what? It's ridiculous. So we're organising a team photograph on Saturday because we hadn't done one right all season. And I said, we can't let this finish because this is the most successful team in the club's history and we don't have a team photo. It's ridiculous. I mean, this should be on the wall.
Yeah, it should be. 100%.
And why on earth we didn't... I'm blaming you for that.
Yeah, that's fair.
That's fine. But it is ridiculous. So they're coming in
me and Gary were talking about it when I was here earlier. It's just that, like, the amount... If you think about how much the squad is different now than it was at the start of the season.
Yeah.
And then potentially... Okay, so we're going to take this team photo on Saturday, but then what's this? Like, how long is that photo going to last for?
I know.
So
that's just non-league.
It's just non-league. It's still worth doing.
We all know at the start of the season it's quite different. To be honest, last year was probably the year that we'll look back on where the team didn't change as much.
Yeah.
It was obviously it did change. We could probably pick 4 or 5 players out, but on the whole, it was quite a strong league last year. This year, there's been again probably slightly more changes, but there's still a good crux of 9-10 players that have been probably more actually that have been here the whole way through. So I mean, compared to most clubs, I mean, in Welling, for exple, have had about 90 different players, haven't they, this season?
Yeah, because
that's not an exaggeration.
Because they do squad numbers.
Yeah.
It was crazy when they were coming here. They were in the 70s.
And their goalkeeper had like 91 or something.
Yeah, it's bless them. But Ryan Maxwell's done some job at Welling.
He has. He's, fair dues to the guy.
Yeah.
They were doomed, and he's done a great job. But it is going to be tough next year, and but we'll see how it goes.
Absolutely.
I mean, Vicky and I are not going anywhere, so we will back whatever we need. We need to stay in this league. That is the most important thing. We do not want to be going back. That is a real regression. So we've got to stay in this league.
Yep.
Whatever happens beyond that is a bonus.
Yeah, understood.
Completely fair. I think a very fair assessment.
There you go. I thought this podcast would be slightly longer, and I think it's a good thing that it is slightly longer. No,
it's fine.
No, it's a good thing because I think this is a type of podcast where you don't want to put a time limit on it. We don't want to sort of say, we'll have to wrap this up in 5 minutes.
Imagine living with me. This is what I'm like at home.
Poor Vicky.
But like we said before, really, really appreciate you coming on, being very honest, coming out and answering anything that we had to say. I promise there's been no cuts. There's been no, you can't answer that. I won't answer that. Everything's always very honest. Mm-hmm. We really appreciate it. I know the fans will listen. Hopefully they'll just give them a little bit more clarity, perhaps a little bit more insight. Maybe a few questions that they had have been answered. But what I always say to people is, you're at every game. You're like you say. You speak to people. They're more than happy to come up to you and introduce themselves. If they've got a question for you, you'll always answer it.
Genuinely, I am really approachable.
Yeah.
If somebody wants to ask me a question, if I can answer it truthfully, I mean, sometimes you have to maybe not say I can't do that.
No, of course.
I don't want to upset anybody or whatever, or that is sensitive, right? But I can tell you why it's sensitive, whatever. But I'm really, really, open to talking to people, and I'm I'm not in this for the money, right? You could tell that this is not there. I had one of the fans chatted to me at the bar the other day, and he said, "Oh, you must be making loads of money now." The club. Seriously? He said, "Well, all the gate money that's coming." No, it doesn't get anywhere near.
I promise you that's not a universal thing that people believe. I promise you that's not a universal thing that we will actually think, "Wow, he's on a great time."
It's a big pot of money. I'm trying to reduce the gap, but ultimately, though, because we're ambitious, as soon as we reduce the gap, we just spend some more money.
I'm looking forward to the bigger scoreboard that we put in next season.
Bigger scoreboard,
yes.
exactly. But I'm approachable, and if you've got questions
really
or ideas or whatever, I'm always. But just don't do it during the 90 minutes.
No,
just
guys.
Do it at 1:30
on
game. Saturday. If you come in before 1:30, I'm in my advertising mode.
Here we go. I was about to do this.
Here we go.
That if you come in for 1:30, we give you a free pint of something.
There you go.
So anything to get you to watch who's the guy?
So Tobias is performing on Saturday.
I've heard good things about Tobias.
So Tobias is a Burgess Hill local. I've worked with him on a few things. We've been booked for like in the entertainment and me doing the photography for weddings and parties and stuff. He's incredible. He's got an amazing voice. He works the crowd. He'll be walking around. He'll be dancing with people. I've seen him get on tables before. I'm not saying he will do that, but. And he's doing an hour before the show. An hour before the game. Sorry. Where's the show?
Yes, it's a show with a football game in between.
Come on down.
So he's doing an hour. Yeah. So he's doing it. So yeah, it's a Tobias gig. There's an intermission where there's a game of football being played. So yeah, he's doing an hour before the game and an hour after, and he's awesome.
What we're going to do is we're going to serve the players in the tent after the game. So we're going to have live music
with their notices.
Thanks
for your service. Ta-ra.
Hey, we've got to keep them for another week for the awards.
Oh yeah, good point.
So we're going to feed them. Michelle's feeding them out the back of the net and whatever.
Nice,
and we're
cool.
going to try and create a little mini party.
Love that.
In there with live music where fans can hang out with the players and just celebrate last game of the season. And we just hope it's sunny because it was freezing cold. It could be.
It'd be fine.
But yeah,
pack the tent full of people. It'll be warm enough.
That was what I had to basically tell you all about the Jay story just to get that 2-minute plug in.
Yeah.
That was the primary reason.
Yeah, I'm going to cut it when I get home as well.
Yeah, little does he know that's not making the cut, guys.
Oh no, sorry, I stopped recording.
Dun, dun, dun.
The things we do to try and grab our fans out the local pubs and into Burgess Hill.
Into the hill.
It's cheaper to drink here than it is at a pub. So. Especially if you're giving them a free pint as well. Was that before 1:30? Just to reiterate
before
that.
1:30.
Before
yeah,
1:30.
Don't be coming here at 1:31 expecting your free
don't
pint.
buzz off if you're 1:31. You know the rules. Come on.
Nat is in charge of the cut-off time.
So you're never getting it.
It's a strict 1:30 goal.
You're 30 seconds late. You are never getting a drink. Love that.
Oh dear.
No,
but
I'm
also,
and
also, obviously, Friday after next is the awards night. It's interesting how different clubs do awards. So Lewis,
Yeah, I thought this.
Lewis did their awards at the end of the game on the pitch.
Yeah.
Which is missing a potential commercial opportunity, but just kind of feels a little bit impersonal. They obviously want to get rid of their players quickly. But
we'll have them.
Do you know what though? They're and I'm totally agree. I think it's absolutely bizarre, but they're not the only club that I've seen do this. There's quite a few clubs that have done it. At their last game, and more clubs will do it this Saturday.
Dulwich did it. Dulwich was there.
But there's, I promise you, there was probably double figures that I saw online of clubs. Because after the game, they'd tweet, now for the run through of the awards that we've just had. And I'm saying they're thinking,
it seems like a waste to just not make a night of it.
Yeah,
it seems,
I think so.
For the players as well, it must feel so rushed and a bit like almost underappreciated.
I think so because their head's going to be elsewhere. They're going to be thinking about the game they've just played. They're going to be knackered.
Yeah, they need time to decompress.
They want to go away. Have a shower, smarten up, all that kind of things. Doing it, bringing their families, their girlfriends, all that kind of stuff. They should be able to do that. Doing it the following Friday. Obviously, it's a free event I'm plugging again, sorry. Free event for anybody who wants to come along. We are thinking about putting it in the tent, but again, weather dependent. Because we think we can get more people in there.
Sure.
But it is a good event. Obviously, we're presenting to the under-18s, the women, and the men's first team as well. And last year it was good. And I've got a speech. I've got 45 minutes. No, I haven't.
You said that to me earlier, and I thought you were genuinely telling the truth. Then I was like 45 minutes.
We're just going to play this podcast to everybody. People have to enjoy it.
Excellent. My ego through the roof. Fantastic. And it's
I assume we're winning the best podcast of the season award.
I would like to think
the
so.
only Hillians podcast.
Yeah.
It's definitely the best podcast. I have to say, guys, it has been brilliant. And I have messaged you after every podcast to say how good it is. And they have been excellent. They're exactly what I'd hoped they were going to be. They're fascinating to listen to. I think I do like podcasts. I listen to the Billy Wood on a. I know it's not Billy Wood's one, but he's a bit of the star on it. Sorry, the other guys.
Wow.
And I listen to
more controversial opinions from David coming here
with Mike McCaffrey in it and whatever. So I do really enjoy those things. But actually, this is really good. And of course, it's obviously focused on our club, which is the most important club in Sussex.
And I'll finish on this. Do you know what? And this is something that I didn't really realise, because we appreciate me and Lynden have been slack in organising the next one, and that is on us. But somebody that I don't know of, somebody that I've never heard of, somebody that I'm not friends with, they messaged me on Facebook and said, sorry to bother you, Jack, but is there going to be another podcast coming soon? You haven't done one. I love to listen to them on when I'm out walking the dog. I don't know who. I've never met this woman. I've got no affiliation
Is
with
it
her.
Jay's lawyer?
But
Waiting for evidence for the libel suit.
I saw that come through, and I was like,
That's cool. I like that.
that's really nice. Like I just assume that it's people in the alliance, it's you, it's the hardcore, comes every week, that etc. that listens to it. But I don't know this woman, so I assume she's a Burgess Hill fan. But I like to think if I don't know her, then I like to think I know most of the regulars, right? But it was just such a lovely message, and hopefully she's listened to this one and has got this far, and she's going to know who it is. But it was just such a lovely message that I thought that there's other people that we aren't close to that perhaps listen to this and just like to hear about other non-league football or Sussex or Burgess Hill affiliations. So. Yeah, thoroughly enjoyed
the
doing
sounds of our voices. Maybe.
Yeah, clearly.
No, but it is good, and thank you for everything you do on this, because again,
our pleasure.
Just the more interest that it generates for the club, then it's an important thing for me, but obviously it's important for a few hundred people out there.
Yeah, and I think now, I think it's just been a busy couple of months personally for the both of us, and then with the club, we were trying to, and then once obviously the J News broke, we were like, when's the right time to do it? So we will get back to a more regular. We might potentially take a bit of time off during the off season, understandably, but we'll be back before the season starts for sure. And then we can officially call it season 2, because when I upload these, it asks me for a season number, and I always put season 1. But I can't wait to be like, it's season 2.
Yeah, it'd be really
not sure
nice.
when I'll make that, but
already thinking ahead. It'd be really nice to get Gary back on.
100%.
Either similar to what you're all doing now, and sort of a review of the season, or perhaps looking ahead to next year, perhaps in the summer, perhaps when pre-season starts rocking around,
get more players on.
Maybe when the squad is beginning to look as if it's formulated. There's obviously the pre-season friendlies.
I was just about to ask: is that something that's in the works?
Yeah,
close to being done.
So about half of them arranged, and Tim is busy.
Sure.
Trying to get the more glamour. It's quite easy to do the non-glamour ones because we're the glamour.
Real Madrid at the Bernabeu is still in the works.
And I appreciate you. I'm going to ask a question. You might not be able to answer it, and you might not actually know the answer to it. But in my head, because we've got a lovely new pitch now, is most of them going to be at home, or is it going to be quite split, do you think, between still home and away?
So we're trying to get as many home as possible, because obviously it's
why wouldn't you?
And whatever. But lots of other people have got 3G pitches nowadays.
Yeah.
For example,
we contacted Tunbridge Angels, and they said, we're going to do all ours at home because we've got 3G pitch. And you think,
hence my thought of we're probably going to do quite a lot at home.
It is a thing. I don't want them all to be at home. I mean, I think we probably need to find a grass pitch to practice on. Because unfortunately, there's some sort of people in our league that keep cheating by having a proper old-fashioned grass pitch.
How dare they?
To play on. So we need to get a bit of practice on that. But so what Gary's done, he's got a spreadsheet, and he's got all the dates of there, and he's got, I want a step 2 side at home, I want a step 4 side away, or whatever, and that's how he's done it, because he's kind of sort of saying these are the different tests.
Fair.
And Tim is busy
trying to
he's put the spreadsheet on. Tim, deal with that.
Yeah, exactly. But pre-seasons are different. The problem is with I'm sorry, I know you're trying to desperately finish the podcast. It's really difficult with pre-seasons because we don't actually know the right time for these, because your gut feeling is, let's do this really early, right? Let's get them all locked in. But there's clubs out there that don't know what tier they're going to be in yet. Right? Yeah. So they don't know what they're going to do. And then, of course, the later you leave it, there's clubs that actually might not arrange their fixtures, or somebody drops out, and we could be missing a Worthing or a Horsham or a Dorking or something like that by booking them up all too early. So it's all. It seems to be a bit of strange.
I want to see Burgess Hill v Dorking.
If we get Dorking, that will
Burgess Hill v Dorking here. Make it happen, Gary. I know you're listening.
I tell you, the person who's made that happen is Lewis, because obviously he's
true.
But
I'd love for that not to happen, ideally. But I'm a selfish. I'm a selfish individual, so it's better for the club.
Dorking don't know what tier they're going to be in next season yet.
True.
So it's all speculation though. But
there'll be
is happening at the moment.
Dorking will be at step 2. I can confirm. Dorking will be at step 2.
You heard it here first.
Dorking will be at step 2. Bless their hearts. They will still be in the National South.
Oh, okay.
You've heard it here first.
Okay. How exciting is the National
Come back to this when you promote Dorking.
Good. 4 teams get promoted on the last day.
That league is so good. So good. But there we go.
Brilliant. Sorry, I extended it. I will stop.
You're all good.
It's okay.
This might be the longest podcast we've ever done.
Oh, it will be.
Yeah,
but I think
by
with good
far.
reason. I think it's good. Like I
Yeah,
mentioned,
absolutely.
and I've got a talking job in there, so I'm chuffed.
Jack's happy.
Excellent. We've ruined that relationship. Well done, Jack.
Right. Okay. Thank you so much, David. Really
Pleasure.
appreciate you coming
Good to
on.
see you guys.
And,
Thanks for dragging you up here on a Wednesday evening.
That's all right.
That's
no worries.
okay.
Nothing better to do. So.
It's really far for Lynden, to be fair.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, terribly far.
Miles and miles. My jest. Right. Let's go.
Yeah,
guys.
right. I'm going to stop recording now.
Okay.
Thanks, everyone. See you on
Thanks, everyone.
Saturday.
See you later.